Greetings, St. Paul's, and blessings on this Wednesday. I don't know how many of you are aware, but today, June 24th, the church observes the feast of the Nativity of St. John the Baptist, the relative of Jesus who was sent to prepare the way for Jesus' coming and for the story about his baptism and the beginning of his ministry. I say that relative, we don't know exactly what the lineage was between the two of them, but we do know that Mary and Elizabeth, their mothers, were related to each other. Elizabeth was, in theory, a lot older than Mary, but exactly how much older, we don't know for certain. What we do know is that apparently she had already passed her childbearing years. Of course, that is different today than it would have been in the days of Mary and Elizabeth. So exactly what that means, I am not certain. The reality is that when Zechariah, John's father, heard that Elizabeth was going to give birth to a child through God's angels informing him of it, he didn't believe it. And because of that, God made him not able to speak. His first words were after John was born, when his mother Elizabeth said, "His name is John." All the family looked at her weird, and it's like, wait, there's no John in our family. Why would you name him John? And in strange way, well, maybe for our time, they looked at Zechariah wondering, are you sure that's the name you want to give this boy? And for the first time he spoke and said his name is John. I guess the thing that surprises me both about this story is how smart Zechariah was in agreeing with his wife. Those of us who are married in the 21st century are very aware of how important it is to agree with your wife as much as you possibly can. You ladies are really smart, and we do well to listen to you as much as we possibly can. But I do love the story of John the Baptist. He was an unlikely birth. He was eloquent. He didn't dress quite, modern or nice for his day. But he had something to say. He had a message to bring from God, and he spoke it. He was fearless. He was fearless in proclaiming what the Holy Spirit told him he needed to say. He was willing to step aside once Jesus appeared on the scene and began to do his ministry in the world. He was willing to speak truth to power, and that is actually what caused his death. It was the fact that he would not succumb to others' will in his life that he was beheaded. But he had already laid the groundwork for Jesus to be able to step in and do what Jesus himself was called to do. So all this to say is that in the story of salvation, we, I believe, are each called to play different roles. Not all of us are called to be the protagonist like Jesus or like Mary. Some of us are called to be additional or side agents of this process, like Elizabeth, Zechariah, and their son John. It doesn't matter what role you're called to play in the story of salvation, as long as you play it and you play it well. Listen to how the Holy Spirit is speaking to you today and answer the call. Answer the call to prepare in the wilderness a way for the Lord. And indeed, nowadays, sometimes it does seem that we're living in a time of wilderness. Maybe you are the one called to proclaim the news of God's favor to the world today. Do not let your voice be silent or your mission stopped or tainted by fear or by any other thing that may come in the way of you being an agent of God's salvation for the world. My friends, continued blessings on this Wednesday. Happy Nativity of St. John the Baptist Day, and may you continue to be blessed this day and always.